All right, so because you have also said this will eventually go, but do you think the poor masses can survive a situation in which petrol sells for as high as 800 naira per litre?
I very much doubt it. I very much doubt it. That's why I said the measures that are going to be put in place will be such that will be all-encompassing and should be sustainable. For example, if you look at even the price of bread, the price of bread is almost going at a stable of over 1,000 naira for the basic one, and it's been going up. And these are all things that will be affected when you remove fuel subsidy. We have got growing industries that run on generated electricity. Most of them run on diesel, and diesel has been there's no subsidy on diesel, and you see what is happening now in terms of diesel hovering between 800, 700 naira because of that. So if you look at what is happening with diesel, for example, and the way it has affected the industries, you'll know it will be very difficult for the poor man to cope with 800 naira a litre or even 900. Some can sell as much as 1,000 naira a litre. So you can imagine for me to use fuel to charge my phone, I'll need to buy 2,000 naira fuel for 2 litres. And that.
So, Okolugbo, are you there? All right, we're speaking tonight. We're talking about the tough task
No one
ahead.
he should take when it
All right.
comes into politics.
All right, we lost you for a second. But then organized labor says the refineries in the country must be fixed before fuel subsidy is removed. How do you think the incoming administration should address this?
Well, the turnaround maintenance has been a conduit pipe as far as I'm concerned. We've had very massive figures in issues of turnaround maintenance over the years. And even when this turnaround maintenance have been achieved, you find that this Port Harcourt refinery, the Kaduna refinery, the Warri refinery, they don't even produce fuel for such a long time before you hear, oh, we are actually doing another turnaround maintenance. So while I might not agree that the refineries will be fixed, because that would be another huge conduit pipe, I might also agree that they should encourage Dangote refinery, which is shown that it has the capacity to refine most likely enough for Nigerians to consume. But more importantly, even while looking at the refineries, we should actually carry out an audit of the actual liters of fuel consumed, because I believe that audit will help to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians indirectly in terms of subsidy that has been used for those liters of fuel that's never been consumed, that find their way across the border, and people just pocket those subsidy revenues and turn around to say that this were liters of petrol that were consumed in the country.
So, Sir Okolugbo, for you, how can the federal government reduce its reliance on foreign loans and grants?
Well, it's something that you cannot avoid, foreign loans and grants, but it depends on where you're going to apply them. Like we have seen the train services, we have seen the impact it has had. Unfortunately, because of the security situation of the country, it has been disrupted a couple of times, and people do not have the same zeal and the same confidence in actually going by train. But you have a plan. If you have an action plan and you are taking this X loan and you're implementing that plan, the impact it has on the people, even when the loans are being repaid, the economy will become very open, because by the time you can only reflect this economy when you put money in the hands of the people. So if you are putting up this plan to such that it will also help to put money in the pockets of the people, and you can reflect the economy, you can create jobs, then we have a wider economy. And so people are not going to be looking at the loans that you actually have taken, but are going to be looking at the impact of what those loans would have had on the people.
All right, so revenue shortfall is still a critical issue amidst a rising national debt. How do you think the president-elect should handle this?
Well, revenue shortfall, first, he must have to maintain at least 2 million barrels a day. And he must have to also take the very tough decision of not politicizing the issue of crude oil theft. When I mean politicizing it, by those who are going to be used in our pipelines, in monitoring our pipelines, because that is very key. When crude oil theft has been greatly reduced, we'll maintain that balance of at least 2 million barrels. And again, he should go beyond what this former government, or sorry, I keep saying former government, what the government of Buhari has done in terms of saying they diversified the economy. I believe that a lot still has to be done in agriculture. A lot still has to be done in mines and power. And if he can also find peace in Zamfara, which is another key point, and some of those areas where we know we have gold, we have solid minerals that we can export, it's going to help his government now earn from other sources this foreign exchange that is needed, and not only depending on the mono economy of oil that is mostly gotten from the Niger Delta, where I'm from.
All right, so let's talk about non-oil revenue. How do you think the incoming government should go about this?
Now, one of the things they must do is, first of all, they must diversify. They must first of all remove it from the exclusive legislative list. That is one of the things he must do. I don't know if it's going to be an executive bill he's going to send to the National Assembly, but when you remove this from the exclusive legislative list, you allow the states and others to be able to harness their natural resources. And so in that way, there's competition, and they can pay tax to the center. They can decide what percentage of tax they're going to pay to the center. So that will be the revenue the center would now use as against the only revenue that they will be getting from oil. Now, the states will also have funds coming from these other sources of revenue, especially even agriculture, which of course is not under exclusive legislative list. But other oil mineral resources that the states cannot, naturally will not have been able to explore, they will now have to exploit and pay tax to the center. And that is the restructuring that a lot of our leaders have been clamoring for over the years, that the federal government has paid lip service to.
So Okolugbo, having analyzed all of these issues, how confident are you that the president-elect will execute these?
Well, I'm looking at what he did in Lagos State. I'm trying to judge him from what he did in Lagos State. And if you are to judge him from what he did in Lagos State, and he already also knows, his election is being challenged. And he also knows that there's a lot of strong movement beyond those who are challenging his election. And so he knows that there's a lot of burden on him to prove that, look, the mandate that he has been given now was not a stolen mandate. And so he will have to show Nigerians that I can hit this ground running, I can take tough, and a lot of tough decisions are expected he has to step on toes. That is naturally for leaders to succeed. He has to take very tough decisions. So by the time he comes on board and Nigerians see that trend, I can bet you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government will be seen in a very different perspective than Buhari's government was seen. Sorry to say, but he must have to distance himself from a lot of the policies of Buhari.
All right, so let's quickly talk about another very critical issue. How can Nigeria address the issue of unemployment, particularly among its young Nigerians?
It's sad these days because I'm a developer, and sometimes we don't even find labor because a lot of the young ones are into Yahoo or 419 or whatever you try to refer to it as. And that's because most of them don't find gainful employment. And that is why you find them resorting to an easier way of making money. Most people tell you these days that hotel businesses are thriving because of the Yahoo boys. If the Yahoo boys are not there, their businesses won't thrive. So that is how bad the situation of unemployment has gotten us to in Nigeria. So what we can do to actually create employment is to create direct and indirect employment. Direct employment would lead to indirect employment and will drive down this 33% that we have had hovering for years now. And our youth, especially the graduates, we should have a pool. First of all, the president must be able to establish a database of unemployed Nigerians so that you don't only have to note somebody at the top for you to be recruited. And when you have a database of unemployed Nigerians, which is not going to be difficult to, if INEC can have database of all voters, why we can't have database of at least the graduates who are unemployed? And so it's easier to pick from that pool when you create the enabling environment, and you also create opportunities for them to be gainfully employed. I kicked against the labor employment system then in the 774 local governments, where just a few 1,000 people, not they were picked up politically. In some cases, they were not up to 1,000, somewhere with a lot of fictitious